Welcome to this week's video discussion board. So we are going to be talking about Chandelles, one of my favorite maneuvers. Let's talk about what a chandelle is. It's a maximum performance climbing turn, which begins at a straight and level flight, and it ends after a 180-degree turn with wings level and high attitude and the minimum controllable airspeed, which is right above stall speed. Now, why do we do this maneuver? Why does this exist? A lot of people talk about how it was used in World War II in order to evade incoming aircraft. Yes, that is one use for it. In today's world, it's used in the mountainous areas in case you're getting in a bad situation. It just helps you to gain as much altitude as possible while you're traveling to the opposite direction. And for a check ride, it helps a DPE judge your performance. It shows proficiency in manipulating the aircraft, and practicing it helps us develop coordination, orientation, and planning, as well as accuracy of control use. A lot of people think it's a super simple maneuver, but if it's done correctly, it's a bit challenging and rewarding. So what we're going to be talking about today, I want to discuss bank and load factor a bit. I also want to talk about overbanking tendencies in an aircraft, energy management, and we'll also talk about how the chandelle is actually done, and we'll break it down into different sections, and also we'll talk about some common mistakes. Now I just want to take a second to talk about Proverbs 1:5, which says, "Let the wise hear an increase in learning, and the one who understands obtain guidance." This is great for us in this stage. We need to be seeking a lot of knowledge as CFI candidates and soaking everything, and we should be asking questions and trying to get as much knowledge from everybody as possible. All right, so bank and load factor. Just before we start talking about a chandelle, let's talk about the bank and load factor. Load factor increases with bank, correct? And what does that do to the aircraft is load factor increases stall speed. This is important because in a chandelle, we are reducing our speed, and also we are in a bank. So if we don't know what is going on and we're not mindful of that, we can get into an accelerated stall. And just for a point of reference, a 3G turn, which meaning you're pulling 3 Gs in a turn, will increase the stall speed from 50 to 85. And usually about 60 degrees of bank, we're pulling about 2 Gs, so it should not be an issue for us here. All right, so the overbanking tendencies. The aircraft will tend to want to bank to the direction in which you're banking, and it wants to continue that. So sometimes you have to put in the opposite aileron input. And the reason for that is that while you're in a turn, the wing that is on the outside has to travel a longer distance at the same amount of time that the wing that is lower is traveling that distance. So what does that do is it speeds up that wing, increasing the lift. We can get a lot more in depth about this, but I just wanted to touch on it. So in a chandelle, we will be experiencing this overbanking tendencies. As you're turning left or you're turning right, the aircraft might want to go more and more to that side, but we don't want to let that happen. Energy management. This is key in a chandelle. Our goal is to get as much altitude as possible without getting too slow early on. So you have to be managing your altitude, your airspeed, your bank, your coordination all at once, and it's all about energy management. So let's just break this maneuver into 4 different stages. Stage 1 is going to be the pre-maneuver, right? You're going to have to clear the area every time. Always clear the area. Verify the maneuver begins at 1500 AGL, and do your checklist. Straight and level at maneuvering speed, bug your heading, and choose a reference, a visual reference 90 degrees from the side that you're turning. So if you're turning left, you pick a reference 90 degrees to your left. After that, we'll go in a gentle 30-degree turn. We'll stay coordinated the whole time, apply full power, and let that nose rise up. As the nose is rising up, you might have to add some right rudder just to keep the aircraft coordinated. And also, let's not forget about the overbanking tendencies of the aircraft. So you go into the 30 degrees, you add full power, and let the aircraft slow down and gain altitude. At the 90-degree point, our airspeed should be somewhere halfway between where we started and where the stall speed is. So for this stage, we will talk about constant bank and changing pitch. 30 degrees bank, rudder, and then slowly bring the nose up. Now the second 90 degrees, we're going to take some bank out very gradually. We're talking about 10 degrees per 30 degrees of heading change. So if you're going from 090 to 060, you want to take out about 10 degrees of bank and keep the pitch the same the whole time. This is key. We do not want to gain any airspeed. It's going to get more difficult to hold that nose up, but you have to work at it. Constant pitch and changing bank. Stage 4 is the rollout. At the rollout point, we're at 180 degrees turn. We want to go wings level and then slowly start putting the nose down in different stages. While we're doing that, we're going to trim. Trim is going to make this maneuver a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable. And we cannot lose altitude. And we'll use the rudder, of course. Always we are using the rudder in this maneuver. Here's a nice little picture of what it looks like. And some common mistakes. I'm just going to go over 3 of them. No clearing turns, too much bank in the initial turn, and increasing the bank while you're turning. This is why we emphasize on the 30-degree bank and using the rudder to maintain where the nose is or maintain the yaw. Do not use aileron for that. Here are my references, and thank you so much for watching.